Okay, this is a tutorial of the Movelister tool, which I've rolled out free for the class, which I actually rewrote for this course. It is downloadable from the website, and I went over in class how to get it. So once you're done with it, you simply put it on your desktop. One way you can bring it up is drag it into Maya. It should immediately pop up after that. And a little later, I'm going to show you how to put them into a custom shelf, which I already have here in Maya. So what Movelister does basically is allows you to have several animations in the same Maya file. So to show the basic powers of the tool, we're going to make two sort of animations of this cube. The first one is going to be from 1 to 50, the other one's going to be from 50 to 100. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort out my timeline here. At the bottom will be 1 through 100. And the second thing I'm going to do is come up here to the button Add, which will actually add a slot for an animation in the Movelister. You can also check it and then press delete, and it'll delete that move. If you add again, this can go on as long as you need it to. So we'll say move 1, and that'll be for the duration. Whenever you click this, it automatically takes your existing timeline and puts it into the start and end. So I can add this twice and come in here and in the start and end actually change it by clicking into each window and then hitting tab to go to the next window. So I now have moves 1 and 2, and I don't have to actually do this first before I animate. I can get all my animations and then do this. It doesn't really have an order of operations. So at frame 1, I'm going to press S, and then at frame 50, I'm going to have it translated to about here. And then from 50 to 100, I'm going to have it come here, and I'm going to have it scale and rotate a bit. So now we have two kind of different animations going on. Very clearly two different animations. One is simply a translation. The second one starts at about 50, and it's a rotation and a scaling and translation. Now what the Movelister effectively does is it corrals all your animations, as I said, into one Maya file by doing nothing more than, when you press the Set button, setting the timeline to that current frame range. So watch this. So now the timeline is set exclusively to the first move, allowing the animator to just concentrate on that move alone. It'll loop over and over and over. You click on move 2, it sets the timeline to that, and that is a move you can kind of massage over and over if you need to. What I traditionally do with characters, and I'm about to read in a character, is stuff that's a little bit more complex. So I'm going to read in something I did a long time ago. It's going to come up with kind of warnings. So this character was animated originally to be seen at about this distance. So it's very low poly, and the texture was never really massaged. So not the best, but okay for these purposes. As you can see, it's been sky rigged. You can see all the layers, and here in the outliner you can see all the different setups for the control being separate from the geometry. I even have a cinematic camera and a light in there. Delete those for now. And in this case, when you open a file, the Movelister node exists in the Maya file. It's saved with the Maya file. However, Movelister, when you first bring up the window, is the only time it references any nodes, meaning we are currently looking at outdated information. Because I had the Movelister up, then I read something in. And this Maya scene comes in with its own Movelister information, but when I bring up Movelister, I didn't want it to lower the cycles by constantly checking to see if there's more information. I only have this reference, the information that's saved in Movelister, when you first bring up the window. So since we read in a new file with new information in it, this window is kind of useless. When I drag in the Movelister again, it references the information in this Maya file. So the order of operations for this needs to be that you open the file first and then you bring up the Movelister if you're looking to access existing information in the Movelister. So for this character, I want to look at the walk exclusively. It sets the timeline from 1 to 30. And now I can engage in just pressing play and seeing how the character walks. If I want to check out their idle, I can click on Set, and I can concentrate exclusively on this kind of breathing idle. If I want to check out the run animation, I simply hit that and look at the character. If I want to look at the attack animation, I can just go to that area and just check out the character and see if it's as I want it to be. It's a way for animators to have dozens, literally dozens, and I'll bring up my custom button for the Movelister here. Literally dozens of animations. I have some animated files with hundreds, and what I would like to point out is that although in the beginning the demonstration that I first did with the cube went from 1 to 50, 50 to 100, what I do with a real character, an animated character, is that I absolutely do not put the end of one animation right up against the beginning of another animation. Think of it this way. If you have all your animations tightly packed, production happens constantly where they say, can you add a couple of frames to this one and that one? And you want buffer between these moves to accommodate that request. So I usually start in the hundreds, exactly at 1 or 101, 201, etc. And then it ends when it ends. But I have, about 3 something seconds of 30 frames per second video to modify this character's moves. And it's perfect for games, of course, because you've got so many moves that can be exported at once. The reason I brought up all of this information rather than just look at the character is that for those of you that want to use it, you can actually use the bake functions here, the SkyRigger controls, because the end frame is 1930. I'm reading it down here. So what I can do is, in the beginning and the end, if I'm ready to bake this character, I can grab their top skeleton and just click Bake Keys. And it will go through the entire animation for you automatically, as long as you've grabbed this top skeleton. And this was written to work with SkyRigger. I can't account for other rigging tools. But when this is done, and it goes through all of its animations that it's been doing, I can then delete the controls. There's a button for it up here, but I can just do it by hand for more certainty. And the button up here that says Trim Keys actually will delete the extra keys that do not have vital animation. Well, what does that mean? Well, take a look at walk, 1 to 30, and then it goes from 30 to 100 with basically nothing going on. So when I export this character, I really want to get rid of all the extra stuff that I have. I don't really want to have a lot of keys and things like that aren't doing anything for the character. So there, I've deleted the rigs, and I'm going to come up here and just kind of optimize the scene, because that's very good to get rid of extra this and extra that when you've baked the character. He's still moving. Wonderful. And I grab the top skeleton here, and I will bring up the animation editor's graph editor so you can see all the animation. I mean, this is now in the thousands of frames just in the time we were looking at the character. A couple of things I'm going to be doing, of course, when I want to fix things, just as sort of a, making sure that you hand in clean animations, is that you want to grab all the curves and you want to go into the Euler filter. And yes, it's called Euler, not Euler. Euler? Bueller. The Euler filter actually will sort out your curves if they are crazy. And so it's doing that. And now I'm going to trim the keys. And I'm going to come in really close on some keys so you can sort of see the cleanup job that it does. I unfortunately selected all the curves. I only want to grab a couple. So let's say we're going to grab and take a look at these keys. Alright, so with the top of the skeleton selected, I now want to trim keys. And it's going to trim all the intermediary keys, and it does so fairly quickly. So now what we have is all these little dense black collections of keys are just the moves. And that's all really you want to export. All these things that are just lines are the connecting lines that shouldn't be exported. Also, you can click on the select all or individual moves, and if you want to generate an FBX export per move, it'll do that for you. I tend to export it as one FBX and then split it up in the game engine. It's a little more efficient for me, but it does that as well. I wouldn't depend upon it because this is an unsupported tool, but I am just giving it away. And if anything, you should be able to use with great confidence the separation out for animation, so you can just hit the set button, even if you're using a different rig than Skyrigger. If you don't care about these Skyrigger tools and you don't need to, then don't worry about it. Just use it for the fact that it pops between animations no matter what. And it'll always work on any rig, and you should have a lot of fun doing it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.